All right, here we are back with the Garb of the Acolytes article that was written by Dazzlecat, and we are going to take a second look at this article. The new parts to the half you reviewed is the beginning quote and the carousel of pics from Apple Camp Monastery to the end needs reading as well. Okay, so let's just take a look at that. Yeah, this is definitely okay. Ooh, okay. So first gen, nice. Nah. Ooh, yeah, nice. Can you change the title of these things, like to remove the .png? Hmm. Oh, let's turn off the music so we can focus on this. All right. So I do like that carousel of pictures. We have the golem, the ship, the old Fane, the brethren. Okay, so the beginning quote, the carousel from. Okay, so we'll go from the Apple comp. Okay, so let's turn on this for those who want to do a sprint while we're reading. Okay, yeah, the layout looks great. Okay, so let's read the beginning here. To appreciate the garb as you journey to enlightenment, Fox, you must understand where it all began. Tiny Fairchild said to his grandson. Fox still scowled at the pile of new clothes that were not of the fancy sort he always wore. Why did he need the Applecomp acolyte clothes anyway? Grandfather was not sending him there to study. I don't see how I will ever appreciate these. Is there anything else I can study? Tiny's rapped his staff against the back of Fox's leg. Ow! Fox protested in reflex. The blow had been more attention getting than punishment. This time. Stop your whining and sit down, Fox, Tiny ordered the boy. Now listen. All right. Okay, so this is good. Okay, so it does act like clothes. Okay. I do. Okay, so we have the interaction between Fox and grandfather. The concern and why I'm pausing here a little bit is, does this section, very well written, I like the character building. The I love the this time that you put at the end of that second to last paragraph. Does it flow into this? Because we have the flying ship of Boki, but um, it does it flow straight into the? Does it flow well? That's a choice that you need to make, because I do remember that this was important information for the rest of the article. So, but as you mentioned, we need to let's start down here at the Applecomp Monastery. Can I? Okay, I can zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, because it's you have this great piece of fiction, but does it set up a question? Does it set the person's mind in order to better appreciate the information that's going to be coming? So, I mean, you can say, "Hey, man, I love steak. I love the way it sizzles. I love the smell of barbecue. Here, have some apple pie." steak is great. The description was great. You're just salivating for a great steak, but you're given a delicious apple pie. Okay? The apple pie is wonderful, but it wasn't what you were building up to. Hopefully that makes sense. I just want to make sure that the great piece of flash fiction that you have there leads effectively into it. And I don't know if you want, because the first thing you're talking about the fiction, the close, which is really good, but then you're going into the Boki, ship of Boki. This could just be moved down to, something somewhere else in there, and maybe have a different one. Your call. Your call. Okay. As the number of acolytes grew, so did their need for greater amounts of supplies. This led to the acolytes building a landing on the Dark Water River, shortening the distance their trains of pack donkeys had to travel overland. Over time, this landing was built up into a monastery they named Applecamp, or Apple Camp. At first, Applecamp was a place for masters to study in between supply runs. Eventually, they too began to train acolytes. The Darkwater River runs the length of the Mirabek's kingdom and is a major trade route. Applecamp, okay. Being on. Is there a reason why they called it Applecamp? Was there an apple orchard there? I don't know. If you know why, throwing in a sentence explaining why they picked Applecamp might be a good explanation, a good flavor. Being on the Dark Water brought all the attention of the All Gods Temple, which controls all religion in Mirabex. Unlike Old Fane, which was safely distanced on its mountaintop, Applecamp was forced to join the All Gods Temple and bow to its rules. Applecamp not only had to register with the All Gods Temple, they had to pass along a portion of their annual tithes to the temple. The only other major change the All Gods Temple demanded was for the acolytes to change their garb to something much less rustic. After weeks of debate between Applecamp and Old Fane, a new style was created. Okay. Now, for interesting thing is when you say tithes, usually a tithe means a tenth, and so if they are giving a tithing, does that mean they are giving a tenth, or is that just a portion of religious donations? Just a curious introduction. A question about the archaic version of this word does mean to give a tenth of their money to that temple. So if it's you can just leave it as is, let people assume it's a tenth. But if you have something more specific in mind, you may want to specify they give tithe a tithing of 5%, even though it means 10%. You can just say, oh, it's a tithing of X amount. If that's important. If it's not important, just leave it as it is. Petitioners wear a sleeveless top, pants, and socks. In Augustine, along with hearthstone-colored sandals with formed soles, the current style in Mirabex. Okay. Right. The thing that I'm pausing on here is that you have one sentence and you're talking about a lot. You could just say petitioners wear the sleeveless top, pants, and socks in Augustine. Because, yeah, what's Augustine? Along, okay, in Augustine, like, period. Upon their feet, they, let's see, I don't know what the hearthstone is. Did I forget that? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But you can just say here's the main body and here's the feet. Hearth coal is muted black. Okay. Novitiates wear the same thing with the addition of a leather sleeveless tabard with crossed lapels that reach above the knee in front, with a coat tail that reaches just below the knees in the back. The leather is of polished hearth coal with trim and a leather belt in polished Augustine. The buckle for this belt is aged brass. Okay, I like that description. It doesn't really match. Wait, maybe does it match this? That's an acolyte. That's a master. Okay. One thing they refused to change were the headbands. Fortunately, the temple allowed them. Novitiates who pass the trials and become acolytes get their headbands delivered by old Thane masters. The masters of Applecamp get a pullover leather surcoat with long sleeves. Okay. This is this is in polished hearth coal with polished Augustine trim. Okay, this is polished hearth coal or hearth coal colored leather because you have um, this is colored with polished hearthstone or something like that. Um, Main body, feet. This, yeah, because this is the way that I'm reading this is hearth coal is a noun here as opposed to a descriptive adjective that is modifying another thing. Okay, so because here this polished Augustine is talking about the trim where the the hearth coal is polished, but the hearth coal isn't modifying anything. So is yeah. A leather belt of polished Augustine with an aged brass buckle finishes the surcoat. Over the surcoat, an elaborate leather epaulet that covers both shoulders is polished hearth coal overlay of polished Augustine. A long chest plate trimmed in aged brass completes the epaulet. Hmm, okay. Yeah, so I just think a little bit extra um, dropping in the word of the item that is being described would be good. But I do love these images that are coming here. 170 years ago, there was an apple camp master named Sainted Father Duno Dearwest, who began the Brethren. He taught them to carry out very secret work. Since the end of Instant, the Brethren have been watching out for magic users organized into consortiums and covens who plot to do terrible magics. Their number are too few to be able to directly confront these groups, but they are masters at spying and sabotage in secret. They are all Apple Comp members. Okay, the Brethren, these are all Apple Camp members, though some of them were never trained in Apple Camp or even in Old Fane. Instead, they were trained by them in the masters to instead they were trained in the master to apprentice style. Okay, I would say with instead of in, master and apprentice, and I would hyphenate that so that it combines the words to modify the word style. So trained with the master hyphen to hyphen apprentice style. That's how I'd change that sentence. And just a little bit of punctuation, but I like the meaning. Being of such a secretive. All right. Being of such a secretive order, the brethren only wear their Apple Camp garb when there is need, like formal meetings at an All Gods temple or the special services at Apple Camp or Old Fane. Timmy's Fairchild and his gnome friend Corio Cregan spent many years questing for the hidden pieces of Deshhanka. Eventually they succeeded, and the Wheel of Wandering was crafted into the Gosling. Flying its pennants whenever heading to a port, the Gosling proudly declares itself a trading boat. Okay. Okay. Let's see. The masters of the brethren live as shopkeepers with cellars that are more than just storehouses, or as traveling merchants who do more than sell wares during their journeys. The sidebar explains the Deshhanka stuff. Oh, okay. Though the brethren wear regular clothes, they do keep to a style. They wear fashionable surcoats or slickers, and dress in the latest yet sensible trends while favoring tans and russets. Their headbands are often made to fit around about a hat or serve as a neck piece that more often than not holds a pendant or locket. I like that. That's a good idea. Yeah, you got the headband there. Well, let's see. That would be an interesting thing. So you have the headband here, which is your purple, black, and gold. Here, but it would be way too obvious if this part of the hat was also colored purple, black, and gold. So you may want to, if this is true, I do not know if it's true, but their headbands, they have it use a different, more unnoticeable color of headband, as a part of their keeping uh, their their disguise or their true nature hidden. That they would use a different kind of headband, if that fits your world. Okay. But I could definitely see those who would, on principle, refuse to dye it, would rather have it under a shirt as a necklace. But then again, how big would it be? I mean, because if it's supposed to be a headband, it's going to feel more like a choker around the neck as opposed to like a necklace that can be hidden underneath a shirt of some kind. Again, uh, they may have a looser interpretation of what they can do with their headband, and that would just be those extra little details that I think show that you've taken care to truly allow these people to disguise themselves, but also to maintain uh, their secrets. One master and apprentice pair of brethren are Timmy Fairchild and his grandson Fox L.H. Fairchild. They are spice merchants with their own. Yeah, okay, they are spice merchants with their own riverboat. Beneath their tans and russets, who knows what the Fairchilds are really up to when they come into a port. I just want russets. Potatoes. Okay, here's the color russet. All right. So there is that. Um, yeah, it's a reddish brown and or to a brownish red. Yeah, and I do like the colors that you have here. It's a really nice contrast to the Acolyte with the Hearthstone and the purple, or the Augustine. Is that purple? I don't know. But yeah, this is a yeah, I think you've done a great job on this article, and especially the changes. I think all of the changes I would recommend were mentioned during the process. But yeah, I think this is well done. Um, all right, we'll leave it from there. Thank you very much.